Peace, fam. Peace, fam. This your boy. It's your boy. I'm back. We back. We in this thing. Yeah. Yeah. Hey. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Finna drop this knowledge on y'all head. Finna drop it in y'all brain. I'm about to bring it, man. I'm about to bring it. I'm about to bring it. I'm about to bring this knowledge to y'all, man. This what I'm about to do. You heard me? It's called yeah, yeah, yeah. Where did Christianity originate? That's what we talking about today. That's what we finna get on. I'm finna break it down from the beginning. Well, not even from the beginning, but from the beginning where most people could understand from. So we gonna go that part. Then maybe we can get to the beginning after this beginning and make it work like this. That's what we gonna try to do. That's what we gonna try to do. Y'all seen that? Yeah, 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 yeah. Get this thing right. Yeah, 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 yeah. So before we get into all that, I'm coming to y'all humble, as I always do. Let me get this mic right. I hear this little noise. I don't like noises and stuff. But I'm coming to y'all humble as best as I can to bring y'all this knowledge. And what it's about, we just trying to bring this information to y'all so you could understand, because a lot of us, we don't know. A lot of us don't know. So what I'm going to ask y'all to do, first of all, is I understand we was taught a lot of things, but I also understand we was taught not to use our mind. Let me cut that off. We was taught not to use our minds, not to think, not to question, not to ask. And that's fine, for a child. That's fine for somebody who, it's my best interest to have your best interest at hand. So I'm gonna teach you these certain principles and rules. I know you can't understand everything right now, but I'm gonna go ahead and bring it to you and explain it to you as best as I can. For right now. Then as time goes on, boom, we'll keep evolving, going to a better, more knowledge, more wisdom. As time moves on. But when they tell us not to question, that's like saying don't use my common sense. I'm not saying what somebody taught you about spirituality or religion is not true, fact, or correct. What I'm saying is that we have to evolve. We should grow. We should, seek, what I'm saying, and find, you know, the origins. We should go back the same way we want to know our family history, the same way we want to know my mom and my dad, my brothers and my sisters if they get long lost or disconnected some type of way. So that's what I'm saying. It's not to question what people believe and stuff like that. It's just so that we could understand better, you know, actually what's going on here. What we pretty much getting at. So having said that, um, let me get into this show, this slide show. And so I asked the question because I asked these questions to myself. Where did Christianity originate? See, that's a deep question because if you never actually understand, you know, or ask yourself where did this stuff come from, you'll never challenge yourself to actually, you know, figure it out. Because a lot of stuff they wouldn't tell you. Don't ask questions. Don't ask questions. Don't ask questions. But that don't mean the questions go away. You know, that don't mean the questions go away. You still have them. You just don't. You know, you just forget about them, like and just kick it to the side. Then hopefully one day somebody come along and try to give us a better understanding of these questions, or give us better, give us some good answers to what we actually, are looking for. Yeah, I've been up all night. Look at them bags. I've been working. I've been working on this stuff, y'all. So y'all, I just ask that y'all comment, like, and share. You know, so we can get this stuff out here. And how y'all like my hair? Well, it's the new African deal. I know a lot of people don't relate with Africa, but We African Americans, we black, so it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I like my little hairdo though. Yeah. Uh, so let's get with the show. Okay. So when I say first started with this question, where did it come from? So that question led me to this: what's the oldest religion? Because there's so many religions until they go way back, way before Christianity. But with on while I was on this search, I came to find that you know I had to go and study those because a lot of the concepts from Christianity are in those as well. So Christianity came before those. So people say they plagiarized, they took them. No, it was settlers. People were intermingling, traveling. You teach me some of your tradition, I teach you some of my tradition. You teach me some of your recipes, I teach you some of my recipes. You give me some of your herbs, spices, and the stuff that you got. It's all about trade. You feel what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. So they was trading more than just food, clothes, shoes, stuff like that. They were actually trading the whole cultures and traditions and their ways of life with different people. Now, if I was from this religion and we said it this way over here, then when it goes over there, it kind of changes the words. So you get an evolution or evolving of these same things that spread out throughout the world. But it all started in one place that they say the civilization came from, which is pretty much, they say the Garden of Eden in the Bible, the Holy Land, whatever you want to call it, the Middle East, they call it now. They never say Africa, for other reasons than, to keep the black man from realizing who he is and where he's from and his culture and his history. To further keep us oppressed of what we actually got going here. So, the oldest religious text in the world, they say is when I Googled it and looked it up, they say it's this. They say it comes from this area where it says location, Sumer. And this is a temple that they discovered. They just discovered in 1909, and they say polytheistic, polytheistic, whatever it is, theistic beliefs, polytheism, meaning more than one God, you know, more than one angel, more than one Holy Spirit, same thing. Holy Spirit, Jesus, God, that's three different entities. That's poly. What we all say is one. So they all say all else is one too, but they just different aspects of the one. So it's very similar, when you really get into the study and the research, into, actual talking to people about what's going on, you actually find that it's all one. Like you got five fingers, but it's still one hand. These are different aspects: pinky, ring, middle, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But if you lose one, the other one's gonna suffer. They're gonna have to compensate. So this all makes up a hand. It's still a hand if you're missing one, but that wouldn't be a polytheistic hand. Somebody would say, "Oh, that's more than one." No, it's still one hand, even though it's five fingers. So it's the same thing. One God, seven angels. Same thing in all of the traditions. So moving on. And remember that word Sumer. It started 2600 BC. That's when they actually dated back to. So that's 2600 years before Christ. So 2600 years before Christ. And so this is 2000 years after Christ. 2020 years. So that's 44,620 years ago. Okay. So microphone again. Acting crazy, acting crazy. 1 second, 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. I don't know. I guess I just want to act crazy right now. But I'm finna keep going. What the damn noise is. I have no idea. Oh, I think I do have an idea. 1 second. Exactly what it is. So I thought this. Okay. Moving on, moving on. Okay, so you get to this actual. place, Sumer. So that's the next question I came up with. What is Sumer? Who built Sumer? You know, what is it? Where is that place? You know, so as you study, you see that it comes from the southernmost region, or it is the southernmost region of ancient Mesopotamia, modern day Iraq and Kuwait, which is generally considered the cradle of civilization. Why they say that? They say because that's where men became civilized and started building cities, farming, had made beer, and all kind of stuff like that. They say the names come from Akkadian, the language of the North Mesopotamia, and means land of the civilized kings. The Sumerians called themselves the black-headed people. Let me read that again, because it sounds like some interference tried to interfere on my demonstration. It says the Sumerian called themselves the black-headed people, and their land in cuneiform script was simply the land or the land of the black-headed people. And in biblical book of Genesis, Sumer is known as Shinar. Shinar. It is known as Shinar. Okay, Shiner, whatever that is. According to the Sumerian kings list, when the gods first gave human beings the gifts necessary for cultivating society, they did so by establishing the city of Eridu in the region of Sumer, where the Sumerian king Uruk had the oldest city in the world. It is held to be the oldest city in the world. So it just told you it's a black city. It's in ancient Mesopotamia. They called themselves blacks. They was black-headed people. So we talking about black people here. So that's all I was trying to make the point of. That whole little land between the Euphrates River and the Tigris River. That's what they call it in the Garden of Eden. It's right there, them the two rivers. I think I got another picture that shows about that. But I don't know. So the next question is, who built that? And there you go, Nimrod. And right here in this article from December 14, 2012 said he is the founder of the occult. Occult means stuff they got y'all spooked out about. It means the hidden. It means the unknown. You know, stuff that the average Joe don't know. And Babylon. So Mesopotamia, Sumer, all these places is also called Babylon. And we'll talk about that later. But you know, if you realize who wrote the history books, who writing all the information you getting, who wrote the Bible, then you would know why Babylon was such a bad place. It's like all the other places that look like the people we just talked about a few minutes ago. Okay. So it say the Bible develops a very prominent and notorious character named Nimrod, because we finna talk about Nimrod right now. Who was this man? He was the sixth son born of Cush. His name in Hebrew means to rebel. He was the founder of Babylon and Assyria. He is mentioned in Chronicles 1 and 10, indicative of his antagonism and opposition to God. So he was like, nah, I'm God. I ain't gonna turn against God. Nah, that ain't what they say. I'm just saying. He was wicked and made the whole world would rebel through the building of the Tower of Babel. So he built a tower that made the whole world rebel, according to the Bible. Okay, he was the first, and I ain't saying this wrong. I'm just giving you my run on it. I'm reading this. He was the first to establish kingdoms. This happened in two stages. The first is in Shinar, and it goes on from there. Then it says he was decided to. Okay, he said Josephus. Let's get another account, because I think Josephus gonna give us a different account. Say it was Nimrod who excited them to such an affront and contempt of God. He was the grandson of Ham, the black man in the Bible, who was the son of Canaan. Canaan got the curse from the Bible, in the Bible for Ham looking at Noah naked while Noah got drunk in a tent. We talked about that before. Okay, that's the story. So now Ham, so Canaan got the curse, and Nimrod is the son of Canaan. Okay, that's what it's saying right there. So he was the grandson of Ham, the son of Noah. He was blind. He was a bold man and of great strength of hand. He persuaded them not to ascribe it to God, as if it was through his means they were happy. Oh, he was saying it's me because you happy, not God. Okay. But to believe that it was their own courage which procured their happiness. Let me read that again. He says, he persuaded them not to ascribe it to God, as if it was through his means that they were happy, but to believe that it was their own courage which procures their happiness. Now, when I look at different people on the planet, because I'm always looking at different people in contrast to how I look at what's going on with my people, so I can try to figure out, maybe we can start moving like them a little bit and then catch up, speed up, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. So, everybody who even conquered, whoever did anything, even go to war, go take over that, whatever. They had courage. Everybody don't have courage. Everybody not supposed to have courage. But I mean everybody do have it, in your soul, you know, but you gotta believe it's your courage. That's what they telling you. That's what made Nimrod a bad man, I see. From my perspective anyway. Because Nimrod believed that it was their own courage which procured their happiness, that happiness. He also gradually changed the government into tyranny. What is that tyranny? Seeing no other way of turning men from the fear of God, but to bring them into a constant dependence on His power, which means a dependence on your own power. From what I read before, I'm just insinuating. Uh, okay, this is another little deal on Nimrod. Nimrod, also spelled Nimrod, legendary biblical figure of the book of Genesis. Nimrod is described in Genesis 10, whatever, as the first on earth to be a mighty man. So they say he was a tyrant, and now they saying he was a mighty man. And he was a mighty hunter before the Lord. There are other references to Nimrod in the Bible, or whatever, Micah 5 and 6, where Assyria is said is called the land of Nimrod, and I Chronicles 1 and 10, which reiterates his might. The beginning of his kingdom is said in the Genesis passage to be Babel, and they go again when they go to talking about the cities that he built, or conquered, or ruled over. My bad. My nose. Okay. There is some consensus among biblical scholars that the mention of Nimrod in Genesis is a reference not to an individual but to an ancient people in Mesopotamia. We just talked about the ancient people in Mesopotamia. And they say they had courage, they had might, they had great will. Because that's what they were saying. Nimrod is a person. But if you look at it like they said right here, they saying that it's an ancient people. It's an ancient people. And this is brought to you by the Conscious News Network, by the way. Woke News Live is just a show that's on the Conscious News Network. Because it's a network. Check it out, though. We also on YouTube and Facebook. So get with us on that. Okay. It says, the description of Nimrod is a mighty hunter before the Lord is an intrusion in this context, but probably like the historical notices derived from some old Babylonian sagas. However, no equivalent of the name has yet been found in the Babylonian or cuneiform records. Cuneiform, we've seen that before. Cuneiform is this. Let me break that down right quick. Cuneiform are what you would call uh, clay tablets that you fire, you bake, you put like in a kiln, like ceramic is clay, and once you heat it, it lasts in there forever. Even if you break it, it's still like glass or ceramic, pottery, whatever. So it's still gonna be there forever, and you can see the writing. So they kept the most records. So it's a debate between Egypt and Sumeria as to which has the oldest writing, you know, and they saying that they developed in two separate places, but either which way, both of those were still, according to the Sumerians themselves, of what we just read earlier, two black nations, because Egypt is also a black nation. So, and they traded amongst each other and ruled. That empire of Sumeria was once an Egyptian empire, And if you understand how genetics work, if you understand how the out of Africa theory works, which I actually truly believe in, but you know, I believe spirit started first before it became humans. So let's talk about that because I'm on to more spiritual, but I'm gonna break down this because it deals more in reference to spirituality, spirituality, religion, whatever, what have you. So yeah, but it says, however, no equivalent of the name has yet been found in the cuneiform tablets. So the cuneiform tablets last forever. So they got millions of these tablets, fragments. People that went in, deciphered them, and talked about the gods. That's what they mostly talk about, like the Egyptians. They talked about their gods. Y'all call them, because they got animal heads, you know, which represents energy of that type of animal, you know, as its main thing. But it also has other attributes of itself too, you know. They could draw a picture of me looking like a demon, and they'll say I'm a demon with some horns on my head, and then y'all will think that I was a devil, right? So, it's just what people tell you. It's what, you have to do your own research. You have to do your own, study, your own um, meditations, go within yourself to find them answers. Because a lot of time, that's where you're going to get it from. Be like, oh, it just hit me. Because you went looking for it. Even if you just go as far as in your mind to get it, it's still there. I like that hair. I like that hair. You're like, oh, you look crazy. This is my Mandingo shit. That's what I'm on right now. Yeah. So it says, it also talks about in character, there is a certain resemblance between Nimrod and the Mesopotamian epic hero Gilgamesh. And so Gilgamesh is an actual tale, a religious or spiritual tale that they have dealing with my next slide. Research the epic of Gilgamesh and get your own understanding. All the stuff that we talk about, research it, get your own understanding. Okay, the fullest extent. The fullest extent text of Gilgamesh, epic number 12. Incomplete. Akkadian language tablets found in the mid 19th century by Turkish Assyriologist Hormuzd Rassam at Nineveh, which is a place, a city, in the library of the Syrian king Ashurbanipal, reigned 688 through 627 BCE, so 600 some years before the current era, or what we would call BC. The gaps occur in the tablets have been partly filled by various fragments found elsewhere in the Mesopotamia and Anatolia. So it said it got gaps that occur in the tablets, but they have been partially filled by other fragments found elsewhere because this story is an epic tale. So it was really kind of like everybody knew this tale back then. Everybody knew it was like that's what they was writing about, stuff like that. So, and people go and retell the tale to other people who couldn't write, who couldn't read or whatever. It says, okay, it says the gaps that occur have been partly filled. Okay, it says, and the reason I'm explaining this and reading this to you guys is because I already know it. I've been studying it since 2008. So I understand it a whole lot better, can give it to you in a whole lot clearer and a whole lot in a 3-year old form. Whereas the average Joe who just reading it, he will know how to connect the dots yet. But since I've been studying it for so long, I already understand that how it works, what it's talking about, pretty much. Because I study a lot of stuff like this, spirituality, spiritual stuff, not just religious, but whatever. Okay, it says they got different poems, different versions. Let me see. It says the Ninevite version of the epic begins with a prologue in praise of Gilgamesh, part divine. I'm down here on the bottom, down here on the bottom, down here. Part divine, part human, the great builder and warrior, knower of all things on land and sea. So, this is one of their gods. It was part divine, part human. and I guess they praised him. That's what they saying. They don't know because they don't know what praise is. They think praise means I love my car, I love my house, I love you praising it. That doesn't actually necessarily mean that you actually praising it like somebody would say. So either which way. Okay. The great builder and warrior know about things on land and sea. So this was a real, they had their energy back then turned up. So in order to curb Gilgamesh's seemingly harsh rule, the god Anu was also one of the Egyptian gods, right? Anu, yeah, caused the creation of Enkidu, a wild man who at first lives among animals. Now this the god caused the creation of Enkidu, a wild man who first lives among animals. Soon, however, Enkidu is initiated into the ways of city life and travels to Uruk, where Gilgamesh awaits him. And it goes on and it goes on. But it says, the tablet 2 describes a trial of scrim between two men. And Gilgamesh awaits him. Tablet 2 describes the trial of between two men. Gilgamesh was the victor. Thereafter, Enkidu, friend and companion, the servant of Gilgamesh, and the tablets, the two men set out together against Huwawa, Mbaba. Them got to be. You know who the people is. You know who them people is. The divinely and appointed guardian of a remote cedar forest. But at the rest, but the rest of the engagement is not recorded in the surviving fragments. Gilgamesh, who has returned to Uruk, rejects the marriage proposal of Ishtar. Ishtar lines up with Isis too. From yeah, Ishtar, Isis, Aphrodite, all those people. Um, Hecate, all them. The goddess of love, and then Enkidu. I think that would be Oshun too, maybe. And then with Enkidu said kills the divine bull, whatever, whatever. It's a long slang. It's you have to go and know some spiritual stuff to actually get into this, but do your own research. But this is just one of the oldest tales that's talking about a religious a god and whatever this god got going on during that time that lived on earth. So if you want to get into a little bit deeper stuff on spiritual stuff, then maybe you should get into a little bit of that. It's long. It's very long. It's long. But to my next thing. Now this is called a pyramid text, and it's 2400, 2300 before the current era too. So it's 4000, 4400. Hold on. Oh, it's about 4,000 years old. It's older than it's older than 2,000 years. It's pretty old. And so they found it in 1881, and this is the actual picture of it right here. Yep. So this is writing on the wall. It's called a pyramid text. Okay. It say the pyramid texts are known as one of the oldest religious texts in the world. And I got all this stuff. I copied all this stuff. You know, I copied it all because for the simple fact that if I don't bring this information to y'all from other sources, then you'll believe I'm just talking. And I could talk all day. I already know this stuff. But I want you to have somebody else, you know, so you could go and know which direction to go to on your studies and trying to figure this out. I feel like I gotta sneeze. Big sneeze, big sneeze. Okay. They are known as one of the oldest religious texts in the world. During the fifth or sixth dynasty of the old kingdom of ancient Egypt, which were black dynasties, if you look them up and Google them, whatever. The text was, well, probably not Google, but yeah, you can figure it out. The text was carved on the walls and within the sarcophagi of the Saqqara pyramids. These texts were meant to be for the pharaoh and were reserved for him. That's what they say. They don't know. It wasn't even no coffin in there. Even though they got a king chamber and a queen chamber, it wasn't no coffin in there. So it never was. You say the text of this religious script had to do with the protocol for dealing with the pharaoh's body after his death. including how to protect his remains and ensure his remains after his passing, which would allow him to carry on the afterlife and ascend to heaven. These were known as utterances or spells and could be used to ask for the help of the gods and even punish or threaten gods who decided not to lend their help. So this is another old religious text, one of the oldest that's in existence, that comes from, you know, ancient the ancient Africa, because Egypt is in Africa, you know. It's all on the landmass of Africa. And until they built the Suez Canals in 1988 or somewhere around in 1980, uh, it was connected. You could walk, but they built that canal to get from one sea to the other for trade, so them big ships could get through there. Shortcut. The text of this religious script had to do with the protocol of dealing with the pharaoh's body after his death. Mesopotamia, there we go again. Mesopotamia, from the Greek meaning between two rivers. So Mesopotamia, Sumer, Babylon, all this and all that they talk about as the cradle of civilization. It was an ancient region located in the eastern Mediterranean, bounded in the northeast by the Zagros Mountains. But we already said where it was, so we ain't got to go through that. It say, unlike more unified civilizations of Egypt or Greece, Mesopotamia was a collection of varied cultures whose only real bonds were their script. Script means writing, their gods, and their attitude towards women. The social customs, laws, and even the language of Akkad, for example, cannot be assumed to correspond to those of Babylon. It does seem, however, that the rights of women, the importance of literacy, and the pantheon of the gods were indeed shared throughout the region. Through Though the gods had different names in different regions and periods, I just said that earlier. As a result of this, I would say they had different, yeah. As a result of this, Mesopotamia should be more properly understood as a region that produced multiple empires and civilizations rather than any single civilization. Even so, Mesopotamia is known as the cradle of civilization, primarily because of two developments that occurred there in the region of Sumer in the 4th millennium: the rise of the city as we recognize and the invention of writing, although writing was also known to have developed in Egypt, what I just said. It says the invention of the wheel also is credited to the Mesopotamians. And in 1922 CE, an archaeologist named Sir Leonard Woolley discovered the remains of two four-wheel wagons at the ancient site in the ancient city of Ur, the oldest wheeled vehicles in history ever found, along with their leather tires. Whatever. Yeah, but it gives you a lot of references and stuff there too. And it told you a lot of the first stuff that's going on in here. The first schools, the first case, and this is what happened in Mesopotamia. The first case of apple polishing, the first case of juvenile delinquency, the first war of nerves, the first bicameral congress. Let me go down. The first proverbs and sayings, the first animal fables, the first literary debates, the first biblical parallels, the first Noah, the first tale of resurrection, the first Saint George. So this stuff is a lot older than what y'all think, and you just don't know that is you. The first sex symbolism, the first lullaby, literary portrait, elegies, aquarium. Y'all better wake up, man. That's all I'm gonna say about the situation. And this is more about Mesopotamia. Let me see, why did I get this one? They were hunter-gatherer people. The flow between two rivers. Trade soon followed. Urbanization means cities. It was known in antiquity as a seat of learning, and that it was believed that Thales of Miletus, the first philosopher, Greek philosopher, studied there. So the first Greek philosopher studied there, and it wasn't a Greek who was teaching him. It wasn't a Roman who was teaching them. And the Greeks and the Romans were the only white people in the area at the time. They were getting the education from us. We taught it to them. That's how they got it. They didn't steal it. We taught it to them. I'm going to keep saying that till y'all get it. Okay? And I don't think that is bad that we taught it to them. Because if we was going to go into such a state that we in to this day, maybe they knew back then what we know now. That if, well, most of us don't know it. So I'm going to say it. What's happening is that our ancient people already knew that. It was already prophecy that we would fall, that we would go through 400 years of slavery and all this and that, and the last will be the first, and the first will be the last, and all this and that. It was been prophecy that they wrote it in the temples in Egypt. So, long story short, they already knew. So if they already knew, then that only means that they made plans for the future by giving them, teaching them this knowledge that we have, that we had for hundreds of thousands and even longer years here on earth as humans. We gave them the knowledge to preserve the knowledge so when we will wake back up for the future, which is now. Alright, I'm going to keep going. It says Thales of Miletus, I gotta say that again, 585 BC, known as the first philosopher studied there, as the Babylonians believed that water was the first principle from which all else flowed. Mmm. Mmm. Nature. Water. H2O. Life. Can't have life without water. As the Babylonians believed, and the waters of Noon. Noon in Egypt. See, water. They already knew that water was a major element. It was a major source. Way deeper than what these philosophers knew that came from Greece, or wherever they came from. Rome, Greece. As the Babylonians believed that water was the first principle from which all else flowed, and that Thales is famous for that very claim. It seems probable he studied in the region. Intellectual pursuits that were highly valued across Mesopotamia, and the schools devoted primarily to the priestly class. Remember that, I'm going to get back to the priestly class. The schools devoted primarily to the priestly class were said to be as numerous as temples and taught reading, writing, religion, law, medicine, and astrology. The stars, the planets, the energies of those stars and planets. Not just, oh, that's a star, that's a planet. It's energies. Everything has energy. The sun is a big ball of energy. I'm going to keep saying it. That gives life to everything that's down here. It's the consciousness of that, what we call God, projecting energy down here to the planet. Yeah, I smoke. So, yeah. And I don't want to hear none of that conscious shit about it. I mean, you can talk about it. I don't care. I'm going to keep smoking. Until I decide to stop. So, it says, intellectual pursuits were highly valued across Mesopotamia. The schools, okay, it says, law, medicine, and astrology. There were over 1,000 deities. Deities mean gods. Y'all would say they gods. The Christians will say they angels, spirits, ancestors, guardian angels, fairies, whatever you want to call them. They had over 1,000 deities in the pantheon of gods of the Mesopotamian cultures, and many stories concerning the gods, among them the creation myth, which is the Enuma Elish, which is another thing like it's creation myth that tells same thing like the Bible says pretty much. Actually, a lot of it came from the Bible because it's older, so it had to come if it's pretty much saying the same thing. So I would ask y'all to go get it. It's probably free. Google, go to Google, do a PDF search. Enuma Elish dash PDF, not dash but space PDF, and see if you can get the book for free. You might got to do a little scrolling, but you'll wind up finding a PDF and download it and read it. It is generally accepted that biblical tales such as the fall of man and the flood of Noah, among many others, originated in Mesopotamian lore, as they first appear in Mesopotamian works such as the myth of Adapa and the Epic of Gilgamesh. The oldest written, I guess I didn't keep it. Well, I think I did, but this is the line of Babylon. So when you talk about the line of Babylon, that's the line of Babylon right there, and that's where it comes from. Babylon. It's a real thing. It says this is a map of Mesopotamia, and let me get my pointer out, my mouse, right quick. And this is the Euphrates. They talk about this as one of the rivers that's flowing from the Garden of Eden, and this is the Tigris. And they talk about this as one of the rivers that flows through the Garden of Eden. And then they talk about the Gihon and the Pishon. One flows through the entire land of Cush, and this is Africa right here. If you go on up, see this Canaan. So the Canaans came through here and conquered all this and controlled a lot of this area. The Canaanites, whatever, Sumer, whatever. But these were the sons of Canaan. And then he was the son of, I just mentioned that earlier. But all of them came through from Africa over here. And so they were trading. They had a lot of back and forth trading and stuff going on. They weren't enemies like people would think. They were all the same people. They were all black people. Even in Babylon. They talking about you. That's why it's bad. Because it's you. It's you. And just because you don't believe what they believe, then you bad. You pagan. Pagan just means them people over there. Pagan don't mean all the stuff y'all think it means. It means them people that's over there. So when y'all, all these pagan gods, that don't mean shit. That just mean them Mexicans. Them Chinese, when you talking down on them. Oh, them pagans. Them Christians, them Muslims, them Israelites. If you ain't one of them, you'll call them a pagan. So that's what it is. Taurus Mountains. Okay. Okay, so we talked about that. Now we on Cush, because Cush was, according to the Bible, the eldest son of Ham, and Ham was the son of Noah. He was the brother of Canaan. Canaan, Mizraim, and Put. Put is also a black city, or the Queen of Sheba, they called it back then, where she came from in the Bible. And these were real places. And the father of the biblical Nimrod, mentioned in Table 1. So Cush, that's one of the seeds of Noah. Israelites, Nimrod, all of them is the same people. Israelites. And see, Ham, which is Egypt, which is black people. Cush, I just mentioned Cush. It's two rivers flow through it. It says in the Bible, in Genesis, early, two rivers flow through it's 4 rivers. I just showed you 2. The Tigris and the Euphrates, which is actually over here. Over here, 2 rivers flowing over here, which is Babylon and all this stuff here. 2 rivers flowing over here. The Gihon and the Pishon, the Nile split up into the White Nile. So that's 2 rivers flowing right there through the entire land of Cush, which comes from Ethiopia, which is the oldest fossils, human fossils, been found. Oldest human DNA comes from this area, right off this coast, right to this day. The oldest bones is in this area. They call it the Rift Valley, Rift Valley, but they'll put it over here too. But in biblical times and ancient times, this is a map of that. And if you see, Canaan was ruling over this. Canaan was the one who got the curse, according to Noah. Noah cursed his son Ham. Ham had Canaan. But Noah didn't curse Ham, he cursed Canaan. Cush is the son of Canaan. But all these people here are family that moved out. And these are the tribes. So the Canaanites are the original people of what we would say the Holy Land, which will be Israel, all or what you would say Palestine. The Philistines, see, all this was their land. They controlled even this island right here, you know. And then the whites came down from the mountains, mixed in with they came in from the mountains and mixed in with the blacks and made what you would call the Arabs, which ain't nothing but a white person and a black person, and then those people mix with each other because it's so many. The DNA is so deep, and at that time they were all different tribes, different people who were doing trade with each other. So all this other stuff is just religion and division, but they were all one. They came from all one. You can trace every DNA to everybody on the planet back to what they call mitochondrial Eve and or they would call scientific Adam. Scientific Adam is the DNA traced through Adam, and mitochondrial Eve is the DNA traced through Eve. And it all goes back because the feminine DNA is older than the male DNA. It's older than the male DNA. So they can trace everybody on the planet back to that first set of DNA coming from Africa. Now go look it up and disprove it if I'm lying. You YouTube scholars. Okay. Now I just showed this map because you see the Canaanites are right here in what we would say Israel, which actually Israel is over here. But whatever. It's up in this area. This whole area was Israel. Or what you would call Canaan at the time before Israel or the Jews ever came about. And they were connected to Sheba. And so, but that was later on. This is earlier on, before the Bible ever existed. Okay, so Megiddo. So this is one of the first wars that's mentioned. This is one of the first written war. I think this is the oldest war in history. I'm not sure, but I know this is one of the oldest wars that they actually have documentation from the people who actually was in the war, wrote about the war, and recorded the war. Okay, so they got the actual tablets with this war inscribed on it, and in Egypt they got the actual battle inscribed on the temples of this war. Okay, so it's called Megiddo. That's how I say it, Megiddo. I don't know how you would say it. Tel Megiddo. It's an important town of ancient Palestine, overlooking the plain of Esra, whatever that is. It lies about 18 miles southeast of Haifa in northern Israel. Megiddo's strategic location at the crossing of two military and trade routes. Military and trade. Gave the city an importance far beyond its size. It controlled a commonly used pass on the trading routes between Egypt and Mesopotamia. I just told y'all they was trading. Why y'all thinking they was always just at war? They was trading, and then they went to war because these people probably don't want to give us what we want, what we need, what we know they got. We started fucking with y'all. Y'all don't do good business or whatever. And boom. So they go to war. He controlled a commonly used pass trading was between Egypt and Mesopotamia, and is also stood along the northwest southeast route that connected the Phoenician cities with Jerusalem and the Jordan River Valley. It is thought that the word Armageddon is derived from Megiddo. Since the prefix har means hill in Hebrew, hence Armageddon means hill of Megiddo, or they call it tail of Megiddo. A tail is a hill. Yep. So that's where Armageddon first happened at, I'm guessing. It was captured by the Egyptian king Tutmosis III about 1468 BC. The Israelites eventually took Megiddo along with other cities in the area. So I just want to say this then, because I never heard a Hebrew talk about this shit before. I never heard a Hebrew talk about none of this shit that's actually historically documented in their sermons where they actually giving these people these truth, this knowledge, these facts. Because y'all not going back that far. The Bible only 2,000 years old. So if y'all only using the Bible for that little 2,000 years, you don't even go to your original history. You're not even teaching. You're not even knowing. You're not even sharing real knowledge, real facts, real information that's out here with your people. But you telling them something about the Bible and the bloodline of Noah, and Ham is a cursed people. The Africans, we don't like the Africans. When even Noah lived in Africa, the Garden of Eden, which was that whole area at the time, because it was one people, one tribe split up and instead of moving and migrating off. Just because your family moved to California, they're still your family. You might never see them again. They might have kids 10 generations down. They're still your family. Just because y'all had a war in between that and now y'all beefed out on some blood and crip time, they're still your family, my nigga. Okay. They got the excavations. They say the Israelites eventually took Megiddo along with other cities in the area, and Solomon rebuilt the city as a military center. King Solomon, he built the city, rebuilt it as a military center. So they let you know on down he rebuilt it. A number of stables that have been excavated at Megiddo probably date back to his time. A mutilated, inscribed stela. A stela is like a rock or something that they got a piece of stone or some a tablet that's inscribed. A stela records the occupation of Megiddo by Shishak. That's an Egyptian pharaoh. Shishak the first, who became king of Egypt about 935 BC. King Uzziah of Judah died at Megiddo in 842. I guess it's one of the Israelite people. Kings of Josiah, whatever, of Judah also died there in 609 BC, while opposing the advance of Egyptian king Necho the second, whatever. So I'm just giving you some history on what's going on. Y'all not telling these people this stuff here, but these are actual, real, spiritual, you know what I'm saying, biblical, because it's Israelite. It's based off of the Jewish or the Old Testament, which is where this stuff took place at. Hebrews. This is your oldest documented place, Hebrews. It's not the Bible. This 2,000 years plus before the Bible, where the actual Canaanites who got conquered, who got killed by invading armies, got kicked out. You know what I'm saying? More than one time, because what they telling you is a hill there, with trade routes there. And whoever controlled this hill controlled these routes. So it wasn't about your religion why they kicked you out, even if they did kick you out. But you were called Canaanites before they kicked you out. When you came back, you came known as Israelites. So now you're out of touch with the original stuff. So that's what they hide from you by not giving you your history outside of the Bible. They hide from you your spirituality. So when the Jews came in and realized and did all this digging and they got these records and conquered y'all and kicked y'all out, after they probably kept the priests on to teach them the spiritual systems, now they took control of the Canaanite spiritual system, which is called Typhonianism. Now, it's called the Tree of Life, but it came from Typhonianism. Okay, or the Typhon, set Typhon. The stuff y'all they told y'all, oh, be scared, but y'all say they these devil worshippers. They got all the power because they deal with these type of spiritual systems. But the Canaanites actually practiced the Tree of Life. That was their spiritual system. It's rolled all throughout Samaria. All these kings, the Epic of Gilgamesh, and all this stuff here, and the other one they talked about. It actually is dealing with the Tree of Life. So, and that's the same spiritual system that the Jews use today, called the Tree of Life. And the Hebrews use the Bible. So which one got the more power? The old one that the Canaanites originally had, that the Hebrews hit in the head and took from them and used today, because the Jews own everything. They own 22% of the American population, but they own over 90% of the wealth. They control over 90% of the wealth and the profits in this country every year. So whose spiritual system is more powerful? Why y'all always talking about they ain't real? It got to be something real about it. They got more uh, physical peace, blessings, wealth, whatever you want to call it, wisdom, because they know how to control it and run it and manipulate it. So all us, so who got more power? So when you fail to keep digging and going back to see the true history, to see what these black people were studying, all these different gods and these deities, these entities, which ain't number Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, which is energy. These energies they know how to tap into using this. See, when you get that and you get out of just reading and saying what God did or what God want me to do, and you get to going into, what this God does for itself with the energy that it can tap into, then Wi-Fi and Bluetooth ain't nothing. They discovered that it was already there. Radio was already there. Radar was already there. They just had to tap into it and boost the frequency so it'll cover a certain amount of area. But it's already there to be tapped into. And then they say the stuff that they can't get in control, how they want to do it and use it and get money out of you for it, is evil. And you can use it against them. It's evil, spiritually speaking. Not speaking on some, religion type of deal. I'm talking about spiritually speaking, energetically speaking. You know. So while y'all using this Yeshua, Yahweh type of deal, they going straight to Yeshua, Yahweh type of deal. You know, they know how to tap into that. They don't call it that, but they know how to tap into it. And even if they do call it that, it's way deeper. They practice something way more different than what Hebrews, Israelites, even the Rastafarians, all this Christianity, just still Christianity anyway. And I don't have nothing against that. It's just Christianity is just a dumbed down version of the stuff that came before it. They took it and made it for man to be able to have a God that it could see or look forward to, worship to, while they took it and used the energetic, the real spiritual energy, kept all that hidden and hid that through demons. See, demons, if you go through the etymology of it, demons is what you would call deities, angels, guardian angels at that, geniuses, your mind. That's what a demon is at. That's why you conjure anything you want on the planet. It's through that. So that's all the energy they know how to tap into. That's why some of it interferes with your spirit or your mind. But they got a lot of stuff they found there. They got a lot of artifacts there. A lot of wars there. 450 BC are the last traceable amounts or the remains that were there. That they actually have 400 Phoenician ivories have been found showing trade and influence from various cultures. In modern times, Megiddo gave its name to a important battle. I don't want to talk about all the modern times, but this is how the old part looks. So this is actually a town in there that they actually dug up and found a lot of bodies and different stuff at Megiddo. They found bodies, remains, so they could tell exactly how old it is, exactly when the wars, took place, the artifacts, they got a lot of stuff, that's actual because them 40 years that they say the Israelites was in, it ain't no traces of none of them 40 years. Ain't no buildings, no settlements, no nothing. So y'all was just probably running from town to town, getting kicked out and killed on the way. I don't know. And so, Kush again. I go Kush again just to show y'all. Ethiopia is also called Kush. And Ethiopia was also called, the whole land of Africa was known as Ethiopia. At one point in time, even the Atlantic Sea was known as Ethiopia. So, yeah. And they go to White Nile, again splits off. The Blue Nile splits off. Like I was just telling y'all about those two rivers that flow from the garden on the left hand side. Yep. And here goes some more from Babylon. The marshes. Ooh, my legs killing me. I got to scratch it. Oh shit. Okay. So, and this is just the Tigris River again, the Euphrates. See, they call that over there Kush too. Babylon right there. Kerbela, whatever that is. These are old towns from the Bible on the side of Babylon. The Chaldean, that's probably the Chaldean Sea, the Tigris River right here, Euphrates right there, Tigris right here, Euphrates right there. Oh no, it's the Tigris. It's the Euphrates, Babylon. But they call this also Cush. So that's all I'm saying. You know, I know a little bit of some of what I'm talking about. I can put it together for you. And this is the picture of the actual people who lived there at the time. They were known as Cushites. We would call them Indians probably. They were tribal, but they were multiple tribes. You know, and so the mixing of the whites with those with the blacks. You know, through love and romance, and they created another race, which is the Arab race, which is nothing but the mixing. And now you have those people over there, and they took that land for themselves because the lighter skinned, the mulattoes, normally work for, they get more favors from their fathers or their mothers, and so they normally work for that side or that team too, while trying to help us. But since they got more to be gained by being on the other side than on this side, then hey, I can take a little bit of this, get a little bit of that, and she is up. The best of both worlds. So that's how they normally go. So next slide. This is probably gonna be a 2 series or a 3-part series because this is gonna take a few hours to get this thing done. It's gonna take a few hours. Yeah. Who was persecuting Christians during the lifetime of Jesus slash Yeshua Christ? Who was persecuting them? So I already know. And this is Constantine the Great, the emperor who created Christianity right here. See, I messed my little words up, but it's all good. So this is the guy who actually, he didn't create it, but he actually was the first one to get together and assemble the Bible. So this is where you get your Bible concept from. And I want to dig into where he got that concept from for him to move on. And that's what we finna dig into. So y'all stay tuned. We getting it together. Okay. And this what this finna go into right here. Matter of fact. So it says, upon his father's death on July 25th, 306 AD, Constantine troops proclaimed him Caesar. Damn. Constantine wasn't the only claimant. In 285, I'm talking about 825, dyslexia, that's what they call it. Emperor Diocletian had established the Tetrarchy, which gave 4 men rule over a quadrant each of the Roman Empire. Okay, let me move down. It says on October 28, 312, Constantine marched on Rome. Make sure I ain't skipping what I want y'all to know. And met Maxentius at the Milvian Bridge. The story goes on that Constantine had a vision. Y'all listen close. A vision of the words in hoc signo vincius. In hoc signo vincius. That's Latin. It says that means in this sign you will conquer. Upon a cross. And he swore that should he triumph against great odds, he would pledge himself to Christianity. Constantine actually resisted baptism until he was on his deathbed, wearing a sign of a cross. So he really wasn't even a Christian and he got baptized. But either way. Constantine won, and the following year he made Christianity legal throughout the empire with the Edict of Milan. So y'all look that up. Edict of Milan. Let me cut myself off. After Maxentius' defeat, Constantine and his brother-in-law Licinius split the empire between them. Constantine ruled the west, Licinius the east. The two remained rivals over a decade of uneasy truces before their animosity culminated in a battle or whatever. So let me go back a little bit. It says, the story goes Constantine had a vision, right here, of the words in hoc signo vincius. They also say he had a dream. But it says, in this sign you will conquer. This is what the vision or the dream told him. In this sign you will conquer upon a cross. So the sign was the cross. So what he figured out is that this dream or this vision that I got in my own head says that because understand this happened in 312. So 312 is 312 years after Jesus died. Okay. Constantine marched on Rome and met Maxentius. Okay. It said Constantine had this vision. So, this 312 years before Jesus, you came after he died. He died on the cross, which they say in the Bible say anybody hang on a cross or hung from a tree is cursed. Depends on which Bible you got. It say if anybody's hung from a cross is cursed. If you got a different Bible, it says any man is hung from a tree, they cursed. And they say Jesus was hung from a tree in the Bible that talks about the tree part. So let's get that right. And I'm not talking down on Jesus. I'm just giving you historical facts. Just telling you what it is. Okay, so it's a curse. So Constantine took that Bible, took that concept, 312 years after Jesus died, and say, I can use this same symbol to conquer. If I win using this symbol with this vision I just had, I'm finna go kill all these people in the name of Jesus. Because that's what I'm saying. I'm finna take this cross, and if I win, boom, I'm going to stop persecuting Christians because up until that time, 312 years after Jesus was dead, they was persecuting Christians. And I'm going to get to that in a second too. So Constantine was also persecuting them. But some type of way, he had a lot of Christians in his family. And so he wound up checking out Christianity and boom, converting. You feel what I'm saying? So, yeah. So he a Christian. Cigarette went out. Okay, so you got to think about some shit sometime. Man, the whole Christian went out there, killed all these people in the name of God during a war, and say this is the religion, or this is what got me through that war. So now I'm gonna adopt this, and everybody can worship it without no more persecution. 312 years later. So for 312 years, they was on the run. Christians was on the run. Christians was getting bust up by who? The same people who killed Jesus. Remember? The same people who killed Jesus were still on all the Christians' trail, killing all of them, convert, bow down, or die. And we're going to see that repeated later on, but by the Christians. I'm finna drop it to you. Just stay tuned. Who were the Roman and the Greeks? And how long have they been around? Who were the Roman and the Greeks? And how long have they been around? And the reason why I asked that question is this. Because I just told you that they were persecuting the Christians. Constantine stopped it. Who was Constantine? He was a Roman governor. Okay? So he was the government. Okay? So the Roman government, who at first were killing Christians, converted them because they wasn't pagans, because they wasn't worshiping all the other gods. They said, no, we ain't going to do that no more. Matter of fact, they ain't even get to that point yet. They going to get to that point in a minute. Where they going to say what we can do, what we don't do, what we believe, what we don't believe. Anybody who don't believe this, we kick them out, we kill them, we exile them. We finna get to that part. But the Greeks and the Romans were the prosecutors. They was the ones who was doing the persecutions. They were the ones who was conquering all of the lands. And they were the people who had just showed up a few thousand years earlier, who were in no mountains and was sick of being in the mountains with no food, no clothes, no shelter. It's cold. And when they came out, in 2,000 years now. Nah, it's been longer than that, but yeah. Y'all know what I'm saying. Okay. So I ask a question and I get another question. My head just pop questions. So I just put y'all in my head for a minute and pop some questions. When did Rome come into existence? Right? 735 BC. Okay. Now we already say the Sumerians were 2300, 2400 BC. The Egyptians were at least 2400, 3400 BC. Writing down this stuff, putting this stuff down. Well, I think it's 3000 BC, somewhere like they were writing, but they had already had these tales. You know what I'm saying? You know, it goes back thousands of years, not a few hundred, not even a thousand years before Christ. They went back a couple thousand. One of them went back what? Yeah, 2,000 years before Christ. Okay, so they just 735 years before Christ. So, according to the legend, Rome was founded in 735 BC by twin sons Romulus and Remus, who were raised by a she-wolf during its 12th century history. So these Romans were raised by dogs. I mean wolves. Wolves and dogs the same thing. I'm gonna go and say it. I don't hate white people though, but that's just what they say. A wolf and a dog is the same thing. Okay, so the Roman civilization shifted from a monarchy to an oligarchy. A monarchy is queen rule. I think an oligarchy is like, I don't know. It might be just one person with no votes, no bloodline. Just I'm the one. I don't know. I don't know. Google that. Look it up. Okay, so when did Greece? So Greece came in 800 years before Christ. Okay, so Greece is 800 years before Christ, and Rome is 735 years before Christ, ain't it? Yeah, 753. So the civilization of ancient Greece emerged into the light of the world history in the 8th century BC. Normally, it is regarded as coming to an end when Greece fell to the Romans in 146 BC. So Greece fell to the Romans 146 years before Christ. So one civilization took over the other civilization. And then this civilization took over all of the civilization. Now, the whole country, the whole world. Now, religiously, the Roman Catholic Church, remember? Rome, the Pope of Rome, they still alive. They still running the world. So Greece fell to the Romans in 146 BC. However, major Greek or Hellenistic, as modern scholars call them, kingdoms lasted longer than this. Dyslexia. Okay, when did Ethiopia come into existence? It said 1896. So I asked the same question, three same questions. Now we know Ethiopia is where the oldest fossils, the oldest humans, the oldest people on the planet come from. Genetic wise, DNA wise, it could be proven. It has been proven genetically, and fossils prove it. So how you gonna say Ethiopia came into existence in 1896? It's a play on words. That's how you got to know how to get to Google and question Google and go around this little mumbo jumbo they have going. Cause I'm sitting down, y'all. Ethiopia became a prominent in modern world affairs first in 1896. Damn, it became prominent in modern world affairs when it defended colonial Italy in the Battle of Adwa, and again in 1935 and 36 when it was invaded and occupied by fascist Italy. So it only exists when you defeat colonial fascist countries. So I'm a little bit more slicker than that though. I'm slicker than most. Smarter than a lot. Wise too. Okay, so I asked another question. When did people first inhabit Ethiopia? Inhabit Ethiopia. Oh, there go your answer. Anthropologists, mean the people who study bones and fossils, have discovered the remains of the earliest known human ancestor in Ethiopia, dating between, yeah, I'm scratching right now, dating between 5.2 and 5.8 million years ago, and which predate the previous oldest known fossils by almost a million years. They've been known since 2001. But niggas don't know that. Niggas don't know why y'all be hating on Ethiopians, why y'all be hating on Africans, why you be saying you ain't an African or Ethiopian. Everybody came from Ethiopia. I'm gonna be done with that. When did people first inhabit Europe? 1.8 million years ago. Because one question leads to another question, and I'll be off the subject. But I'm going to get back on the subject again about the Bible, because all this is relevant, because it's religion. And I'm going to make my point in a second. 1.8 million years ago, Homo erectus population lived in southeastern Europe by 1.8 million years ago. The most archaic human fossils from the Middle Pleistocene, about 780 to 125,000 years ago, have been found in Europe. So it was people in Europe at least 1.8 million years ago. Well, let's check this one out then. Because I asked this question, and then so that means you're a little brother. Like I'm 5, I'm almost 6 years old. If we just say years, and you just not even 2 years old. You're almost 2 years old compared to me. So I'm like up, walking, talking, eating. Yeah. But you still like in diapers. Some babies still be in diapers. So I asked this question because Caucasian peoples, I gotta ask questions, man. Various ethnic groups, and I know y'all don't like to ask them, so I'm gonna ask them for y'all. Various ethnic groups living in the Caucasus, a geographically complex area of mountain ranges, plateaus, foothills, plains, rivers, and lakes, with grasslands, forests, marshes, and dry steppes, whatever you want to call them. The complex of regions harbors more than 50 separate peoples, ranging from language communities with only a few hundred speakers to large national groups numbering millions. This diversity is not of recent date. The Pliny elders related that the Romans carried on their business there through 80 interpreters. Arab geographers called the Caucasus Jabal al-Asan, mountain of languages. So they had a lot of languages because they were, I don't know. So I asked, how did they get white skin then? Because if people been here in Africa 5 point some million, then in Europe 1.8, but Europeans only been here with white skin starting from around 8,000 years ago. According to this website called The Independent, it says ancient populations in Spain, Luxembourg, and Hungary had dark skin around 8,500 years ago. So they saying it took 500 years for them to get white skin. Mm-mm-mm. That's what they said. I didn't say it. You can go to other places too. It'll say the same thing. Somewhere, this right here in America, St. Louis, by Ann Gibbons, April 25th, 2015. How Europeans evolved white skin. Google this stuff if you think I made this shit up. I didn't make it up. St. Louis, Missouri, most of us think Europe as the ancestral home of white people. But a new study shows that pale skin, as well as other traits such as tallness and the ability to digest milk as adults, arrived in most of the continent relatively recently. The work presented here last week at the 8th annual meeting of the American Association of Physical Anthropologists offers dramatic evidence of recent evolution in Europe and shows that most modern Europeans don't look much like those of 8,000 years ago. The origins of Europeans have come into sharp focus in the past year as researchers have sequenced the genomes of ancient populations rather than only a few individuals. By comparing key parts of DNA across the genomes of 83 ancient individuals from archaeological sites throughout Europe, the The international team of researchers reported earlier this year that Europeans today are a mix of the blending of at least three ancient populations of hunter-gatherers and farmers who moved into Europe in separate migrations over the past 8,000 years. So they moved out the mountains, they moved into there. The study reveals that the massive migration of a Yamanya, whoever that is, herders from the steppes of the northern Black Sea may have brought Indo-European languages. So they didn't even have language until 4,500 years ago. So they couldn't even talk to 4,500 years ago. So they couldn't even write to 4,500 years ago. They weren't even writing. They ain't have paper in the mountains. Ain't no trees, but they had grass and stuff. So they was lots of stuff. And I ain't talking down. I'm telling you what these people said. I ain't said it. I just read. I ain't say it. So don't be mad at me talking crap, whatever. Now, a new study from the same team drills down further into the remarkable data to search for genes that were under strong natural selection, including traits so favorable they spread rapidly throughout Europe in the past 8,000 years. By comparing the ancient European genomes with those of recent ones from the 1,000 Genomes Project, so people are actually researching this shit. People are actually researching this shit. By comparing the ancient European genomes with those of ancient ones from 10,000 Genomes Project, population geneticist Ian Matheson, a postdoc in the Harvard University Lab of Population Genetics, David Reich, I heard of David Reich before, he might be, found 5 genes. I think I went too fast. I guess I did. But anyway, let me go back to this. Okay, now I might need to wrap this thing up right quick. I'm gonna wrap this up. This is the first section. Oh, let me see. I'm not gonna wrap this up. My phone in. Oh, phone. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up, and I'm going to start back over on my next slide. My next part 2 gonna start right here. Part 2 is gonna show you about, we gonna get into the Bible. We getting back into that. Because I'm gonna show y'all through the lost books of the Bible. And the reason why I bring the lost books of the Bible up is because, for several reasons. Okay, why they took them out the Bible. I'm gonna ask the question I wanna go see. So I went seen and I found, and I'm gonna share it with y'all on this video. Well, on my next video. And I'm gonna show you a lot of stuff. You know, about the life of Jesus as a youth. You know, some of the stuff they say he never did, as without sin. Well, here they saying he with sin. So I'm gonna show y'all that. He did a lot of miracles. There's a few things. I ain't gonna really get into that. But you know, you can download the book free. Go to Google.drive, type in the Lost Books of the Bible, space PDF. Okay, hit enter. It's gonna come up. It's gonna go probably a couple ads. Scroll on down. It's gonna say PDF right at the top on the left. Download the PDF. You can read it yourself. So what I'm gonna bring you in the next video, which is a continuation of this video, I'm summing it all up. I'm making it plain and simple that this is what's going on here, you know, and pretty much I'm gonna show y'all why they took the books out. I'm gonna show y'all. Then we're gonna get actually into more historical stuff. You know, how it relates back to Africa, how it relates back to our spiritual systems, all types of stuff. So how Christanity, how Christ actually, you know, let me get into some of this stuff. I might get y'all a little slick share right quick before I go to the next one, because I gotta stop this right quick, and I actually gotta record. So I'm gonna get into this. I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna share some stuff about what he did as a child, you know, because they hid that. They say for the first 18 years they don't know where it's at. Well, the 18 years right here, I got it. I'm finna give it to you. I just gave you the link to the book. You know, it's on you if you go type it in. I ain't share the link. No, I ain't share the link. You know, you want it, go look it up. I just gave it to you. Okay. So also, we're gonna talk about Mary, his mother, how she was without sin too. And then we're going to talk about how he descended in, you know, hell, because the Catholics believe that in one of their creeds, the Apostles' Creed, I believe, they say it's like 10 different things, and one of them they say Jesus descended into hell after he died, you know, on the 3rd day, you know, he died, and then he resurrected, or whatever. But where was he before he resurrected? You see what I'm saying? So this is the account. It's in the book of Nicodemus. So I'm going to share that with y'all, and I'm going to share a lot of stuff with the different, you know, Coptic churches where they fled to. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you what happened. I ain't gonna give too much away. Um, I'm gonna give you some information on the popes in Africa, because we got three black popes out of Africa. Then we're gonna get into Constantine and how they actually created the Bible. You see what I'm saying? Because they actually created the Bible, you know, by taking out the stuff that they didn't like, by kicking people out who disagreed with stuff that they didn't like, who was still on the Gnostic stuff, or what they call the know stuff, means know yourself, know the God within. You know what I'm saying? Move off your higher self. How to deal with these different energies, these entities, and this and that. There's a lot of that going on. They accuse him of being a conjurer. I'm gonna go in and show you what they accuse Jesus also of being a conjurer. So it's a lot of stuff that we getting into. I know this video probably over an hour long. I'm not sure. I don't see the time on it, but yeah, it's an hour 25 minutes. So I'm gonna give y'all the next stuff. It takes time, y'all. If it take me this time to talk about it, imagine how long it took for me to get the knowledge to give to you, and then imagine how long it took for me to just put this whole presentation together. So bear with me. Stay tuned. I got you. I'm doing this today. I'm trying to have these videos up tonight. You know, keep these people trademarks and all this stuff out of here because they be hating and stuff. And but I'm gonna show you how Constantine, what he did. I'm gonna go more deep. I'm gonna show you how the council that he created with all these popes and bishops got together and put together this. I'm gonna show you the information. It's not hard to find. I'm gonna show you so you would know. And then now, not to say I'm gonna go throw this in grandmama's face. I'm gonna go throw this in mama's face and tell them you was wrong. Nah, everybody gonna believe how they gonna believe. It's for those who seeking the knowledge. Seeking ye'll find. You know what I'm saying? And so they're just showing you that the whole story, at the end of the day, it's all about you, your higher self, your soul, not your human flesh, not your feelings, not your emotions, not your human reality. Because at the end of the day, even Christ died. He's not here physically on the earth. So that means that the energy you tap into is a spirit. Some people call it a dead spirit because it don't live on this plane no more. It's on another plane. If I said the ancestors, you would understand. I'm talking about dead people who once lived and now they're not here no more. But Jesus is an ancestor as well, or the concept of Jesus is an ancestor as well. So, or you could say God. God is also a spirit. You can't touch it. You can't see it. You can't taste it. You can't smell it. You just know it. So you have to know what you is in order to relate to that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get to that. We almost an hour and 30 minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead and end, and I'm gonna take y'all. I'm gonna I'm gonna make sure that I break this stuff down thoroughly to you guys so we can understand. Because I know certain people can do it, most people can't, a lot of people can't, but I don't even know if you're in that circle. So I'm sharing it with my circle. I'm sharing it with my circumference. I'm sharing it with my reality. So I hope that you guys would share it. I hope that you guys would like it. I hope that you guys would support me by subscribing to the videos. Sharing them. That way the words get out, the message. Because in order to know, they say when the student is available, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Well, I call myself a lightweight teacher. You know, But they also have the saying that says when the teacher is ready, then the master will appear. So I would never master this thing, but mastery is the key, is the quest. So it's not that I look above or I think I'm over somebody, bigger than somebody. No, I'm the most humblest person. You know, but don't take that kindness for a weakness because I'm still a person and I'm not. Love and light is cool. It's a time for that. You know, and it's a time for other stuff too. It's a time for learning. It's a time for teaching. It's a time for understanding. It's a time for using wisdom. You know, right now, not when I look back and think about it. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, 2, 3 days later. So let's do this right now. Let's raise our energy up right now. Um, I want to thank everybody who watched the video. I want to thank everybody who shared the video. I want to thank everybody who subscribed. I want you guys to go on Facebook and like my page, Conscious News Network. I want you to go on YouTube and like my page, the Conscious News Network. I want you guys to, just stay humble, and continue to, you know, stay on point. Keep that energy up. Don't be worried about coronavirus because it only affects those who worry about it. I'm not worried about it. And so let me get back into a little bit more of this. And I like this song. The God is sung me this song. And so yeah, I kind of like it. So I'm gonna leave out this song right here. And when I get back, we'll get started on part two of this thing. And you right here live with me right now. Well, I was live, but Conscious News Network. You know what I'm saying? Woke news. You know, because I'm waking your ass up with this new news. You know, not the old news. You know, not the same news you already know. Not the same news you getting on, you know, the internet. Not the same news you getting on CNN. The woke shit. That's what it is. I shake. Ashe Toi. Ashe Toi. That's the artist. Y'all go holler at her on Facebook. Holler at her on YouTube. Share, like, subscribe. She gave me this song to use, you know, on my music channel, which is called Ratchet City Music. Subscribe.
No need for the offense. No need for a tall fence. We can break it down, cause we all can. We all family, we so powerful, we evolving. I'm here to uplift my sisters. We gotta try to beat the system. Everybody here a winner, making lemonade out of lemons. So much love for my brothers, man. Say you can't, but I know you can. Coming through with my fists high. It's all a part of